Viewers, Haq, a film that revolves around the landmark 1985 judgment, is one that's certainly set to leave a lasting impact on your mind, as it is one that revives the conversations on UCC, triple talaq and gender equality before law. Even before it releases, the film is garnering praise for exploring a subject that has triggered a conversation on rights versus tradition. Haq releases worldwide on 7th of November 2025. ET Now's Sumita Karir spoke to Yami Gautam and director of the film, Suparn Verma. Listen in to this exclusive conversation.
Thank you very much, Suparn. Thank you very much, Yami, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now. And congratulations to the two of you and the kind of response that this movie's trailer has been gathering. I remember I was sitting in the studio and it was playing right in front of me and I wanted more of it. You know, it is something that keeps you at the edge of your seat and you want to know what is going to happen next. Kudos to the kind of performance that you have pulled off in this movie and, of course, your direction as well. Let me begin with you, Yami. I mean, why did you choose this film at this point in time? Of course, you have delivered several hard-hitting performances, but why this movie in particular?
First of all, thank you for your kind words. I think you're really kind. The timing is never in an artist's hand. I can only choose from what I'm offered and at what point of time. That's beyond my liking or my control, right? And they say, there's a saying in the industry that har ek film ki apni kismat hoti hai na? So who's going to play what, that's also destiny. So, well, someone must have thought of this saying and maybe kind of, you know, it got very popular in the industry, right? ऐसे ही कहते हैं, हर एक फिल्म की अपनी किस्मत थी, casting की अपनी destiny है. So no complaints. All I can say is thank you, Suparn and Reshu. I still remember the evening that they'd come home and discuss the script, the subject with me. Of course, all the questions I said, okay, now once you're done discussing, that's my basic process. There's nothing complicated. I love reading the script. I'd love to read it. And as soon as I was done reading, I was absolutely convinced that this is something. I'm just fortunate to have gotten this opportunity, this massive opportunity to play the character that I got to portray. And here we are now, almost the edge of promotions and all over to you guys now in cinemas.
Right, it must have been a very hectic time for you as well. So you're crediting destiny, but Suparn, you know, what was it that made you decide that, you know, you want to make a film on this particular subject? And we've seen, you know, this entire narrative of realism getting into cinema. Of course, cinema has reflected the reality of a society of the times that we live in. But why this particular subject did you decide to make at this point in time?
So post-Panda, I was looking for something as part of my Courtroom trilogy. And this was a story that had been kind of coming back to me again and again for the last few years, till I realized that, and I deep dived into the subject matter, into you know, the inspirations that we took for creating the character and talking about the story of Haq. And it was a story of a woman who had been silenced for far too long and she needed to be heard. And it was so endemic and fundamental to our society today, that the world we live in today, that this judgment, this Supreme Court judgment has impacted us and had such, you know, long, far-fetching results that it's a story not many people know of, neither do they know of the struggle and the intricacies revolving around it. And number two, I think it's high time we had a film like Haq coming out, which kind of talked about or make you kind of part of a community, which you have not seen for a while now. These stories, we have had, you know, Aurangzebs and Khiljis, and now finally we have a story, which is a very, very Indian film that kind of goes out there and talks about the heart and matters of legality, which have kind of brought us to 225.
Absolutely, and that must have been a very difficult process, filmmaking process, conceptualization process as well. And of course, it delivers a hard-hitting message so far as feminism and women's rights are concerned in this day and age. So Yami, when you were preparing for this film, what were some of the challenges that you faced? And give us an insight into how you really prepared, because I was told by somebody that, you know, for a month, you followed method acting and you were into that, you know, character. You were walking and talking like the character of this movie. Tell us some insight as far as that is concerned.
It sounds only like Suparn. saying all these things. Sounds nobody else than Suparn. I don't know how to break down my process into method acting or anything else. No, it's not like that. I think a lot of things are also a little exaggerated in your PR language and all of that. But having said that, there's a lot of course, hard work that has gone in making and creating this character. And I don't think they can. Sometimes it's so internal that I'm really zapped. I don't know what to answer. I don't know how to make it sound that, oh, I worked so much. It's before getting into the physicality, it's always understanding the character at an emotional level and connecting that wavelength. I think it's extremely important, and the other things follow that. Right? It's not the other way around. And your script is the best source that you can get all information. A good script is what you need. So I keep reading it over and over and over and over again. And while, yes, the film is inspired by someone whose certain part of life has been in public domain, and yet having not met that person, how do I envision, how do I interpret that? So the idea was to go backwards. The idea was to go reverse. We all knew what had happened in the end. So all I was trying to think all this while, what kind of person would take that challenge, more than challenge actually, that courage. And I don't know how to define that strength, what it takes back in 70s and 80s to stand up against the system, to stand up for what you feel is right, and not be the oppressed. Sometimes out of oppression, you create history, right? And I think this is where I connect my character.
Absolutely.
And so a lot went. Of course, endless voice notes between Suparn, me and Reshu, and discussion and just working with an uninhibited and an open mind. And chahe wo lehza ho, diction ho, understanding the character ho. Of course, there's a monologue in the film which is not about just saying the lines or getting it right in terms of, okay, I've spoken the right things, but obviously it's about how you have spoken and what do you encapsulate in that moment, because that is the core of the film. So yeah, I don't think 15 minutes would be enough to
talk about that whole creative process.
Yeah.
But just to add to what Yami said, I mean, one of the things that you need to follow with Yami's character that she created, the whole trajectory of her entire character through the film is through her eyes and the way they kind of change. It's quite magical.
Absolutely. Was it weirdly empowering for you to sort of, perform in a courtroom drama, and especially the kind of monologues that you have delivered?
Empowering, I don't know, that's the byproduct. I think at that time, the feeling was, I don't think I'm just that one character at this moment. I'm also, this film is going to be watched in 2026 and by women, by men of different class, caste, religion, age groups all across the country, tier 1, 2, 3. And I thought I sort of represent someone with whom each one of us would resonate or would find themselves in that character at some point or the other. So I was very cognizant of that fact while performing that scene.
You're looking to get her on board, for this film. I want to get in your thoughts on that as well. When was it decided that you wanted her to sort of feature in your movie? I mean, she's a great actress, but just give us an understanding of...
I think the minute Reshu and I finished researching and kind of creating a story document, start to end, the first name that popped was Yami Gautam, and I have realized in life, I think manifestation is a very powerful tool. Ask for it and go for it, and usually things happen. So we went to her and she heard the story and said she loves it and come back with a script, and we came back with a script. And yeah, here we are. It was literally as real as that.
Yeah, there's nothing dramatic with my meetings or anything ever. I don't know how is it with others, but it's very clinical, it's very straightforward, and that's the way I like to work, with respecting everyone, the process. When I come on board, I dive in like a full team player. Come what may, we have to make the film. There are 1,000 challenges that a filmmaker has to go through, especially these are not those big budget films or anything, right? We know where our restraint, and that's fine. That's okay. Um, so we know the challenges that come with a film like this, or any film, of that matter. So yeah, you be cognizant of the fact, and the intent has to be, the film has to be made, and it has to be made right, come what may, and we are there for each other. So it's as simple as that.
Right, so we're all waiting for 7th November when the film will be in cinemas. Just a final quick couple of questions before we wrap up this interview, Suparn and Yami. In terms of when you talk about the industry, congratulations, you've just become a mother as well. How much is that deciding in terms of how you choose films? And of course, there was this whole controversy and debate about the fact that, an 8-hour, shoot schedule, or there has to be some work-life balance. How are you looking at those concerns or issues?
I'm dying to answer that one, but let us come.
Yes, we'll come to that.
First of all, once a mother, always a mother, and every mother, be it whether you're working or you are a homemaker, is special and does the best that she can for her child, right? Nobody's more important for a mother than her child, than her baby. And this is a very different and a very new phase, just like so many mothers out there. As far as my job is concerned, the way I choose my scripts, my personal life has nothing to do with my professional life. If this conversation about this 8-hour thing, I don't know the details, because what does this 8-hour mean? Does it mean only working? Because the kind of job that we have when we arrive on location, arriving on location is different from arriving on set. You arrive at your location, you get ready, that takes a certain amount of time. Then you go on the set, and that's where your working hours begin, right? As much as we would like a time cap like any other field, but ours is a little different. Today we are shooting here. We are here comfortably sitting in a studio. Tomorrow we could be shooting under scorching sun, or जैसे इस साल हुआ है, suddenly बारिश हो गई है, बारिशें रुक नहीं रही हैं, तो अब क्या करें? Locations, permissions, permutations, combinations, other actors, technicians, so many things, right? And I'm sure a director and a producer will have much more to add to that. So this whole concept of this time cap is, for me, it's very subjective to an actor and a producer director collaboration and their mutual understanding, right? If, God forbid, there's a medical emergency or something, my child's not well, I'm sure they would do whatever it takes for me to be home. And the same way, I've never left set in my entire career, and I'll never do that. If they require me over a certain time for a certain day, which there is some issue that we're not, that we have to extend it, there's a mutual understanding, right? Hence, it's literally, for me, between the actor and the producer, the kind of budget your film has. If it's certain number of hours, then can you give? That means the shoot will be for longer period in terms of days, etc. It was my son's Mundan ceremony, and as we all know, that's something which is the date is it's a very auspicious occasion, and they finalize the date as per our ritual, and that's beyond me. And I requested Suparn, I said, which can I please go for that? Can we wrap up the shoot just 2-3 days before? Is it possible? He said, absolutely. I mean, I'd kept those extra days because I didn't want to put pressure on you and Emraan for the Supreme Court monologues, but we'll make it happen. So it happened. So I think that's why I said it's very subjective and the understanding between the producer and the actor goes.
And that's a nuanced answer. Suparn, you wanted to add to that?
Actually, I'm not going to nuance. I'm just going to add to what Yami just said, is that this is something that's been happening for decades. There have been actors who shoot only, for 8 hours a day. They only shoot for 5 days a week. They don't shoot night shoots. That's been happening for years, and this is pre-decided between the director, the producer, and the actor. It's not something that the actor arrives on set and says, I'm not coming tomorrow, for example, right? It's all on paper, where if it doesn't suit the production, they don't go ahead with the said actor in the first place. So why is it that suddenly if female actress says it, it becomes an issue. This has always existed. It's nothing new. And end of the day, we are an industry. We're an industry of human beings making art and emotions in very odd circumstances. Could be in outdoors where you have actors dancing out of the blue in the middle of Switzerland streets. Not a normal profession, right? For example, our reality is very different. We are always chasing the sun.